Well, hello and welcome to my latest video. Now, some of you will know that some months ago I bought a camper van, and some of you may also know that a few weeks ago I did a video called 8 Reasons Why You Need a Camper Van. And I thought, in the interests of balance, as I'm now working for the BBC, it was important that I now did a video saying the reasons why you don't need a camper van. And let's start. Reason number 1, they eat petrol. Now, I don't need to tell you, or diesel by the way, I don't need to tell you that at the moment we're going through a little bit of a fuel crisis in the good old United Kingdom, and petrol and diesel is now £9 a litre. Yes, £9 a litre. So these things, I mean, my vehicle for my sins is a 3 litre. Right, so it does about 9 miles to the gallon, or about 3 miles to the litre if you want to use one of those strange European measurements. And what does that mean? Well, what it means basically is that I cannot afford to leave my driveway, because I don't have the income from YouTube or you know, index-linked pensions or any other sources that will allow me to put sufficient fuel in my camper van to get to the end of my driveway. So here it sits. And if I did have enough money to put petrol and diesel in, what's going to happen? Well, I'm going to be driving around a country that is rapidly going to be underwater. In other words, you have a camper van, you have a great time, but you're destroying the planet. So reason number 1, you don't need a camper van. Reason number 2, you think, I know, I'll get a camper van, right? And I'll go and stay on campsites and I'll save a whole load of money. Well, for a start, that doesn't work because of reason number 1, the petrol and the diesel. Reason number 2 is that campsites are actually pretty expensive. I don't know if you've looked at the websites or something, but you rock up in a muddy field and there's a kind of shack for a toilet. Sometimes they're kind of eco campsites, which means there is no toilet. And you're paying about, I don't know, 25, 30 quid or so for a pitch. Now, what they call a pitch is a piece of land, okay? So you rock up at somebody's farm, right? And they give you a pitch, which is basically a stretch of land, and that's where you park your vehicle, and then the next day you drive off. And you think to yourself, you know what, Premier Inns, I'm not Lenny Henry, I'm not advertising Premier Inns, but actually Premier Inns are pretty good value, and travel lodges and Airbnbs and so on and so forth. You start kind of weighing up the costs, and you think, you know, I'd kind of rather stay in a Premier Inn than just, you know, dump my vehicle in a field somewhere. Now, you're going to say, oh, yeah, Julian, but you're missing out on the joys of wild camping, like wild camping in a camper van, yeah. And that's where you basically park at the side of the road and then you sleep in your van. I mean, did you dream as a child that you'd be doing that? You'd be driving along a fucking motorway and you'd stop in a lay-by and you'd sleep in what is essentially your car? Was that your dream, was it? Or did you think, you know, you'd be an influencer and go to Mykonos or Bali or somewhere like that, you know, have a proper holiday in a 5-star hotel? Did you dream of the camper van in a lay-by, or did you dream of Mykonos? Now, be honest. Be honest. You dreamt of Bali, didn't you? Now, there is another reason, okay, and this is, I think, reason number 3. And I'm going to pick up the camera now and kind of wave it around a little. So bear with, as they say. I'm picking up the camera and I'm swinging it around. Now, do you see that? Right. You remember when Julian Assange, you know, that great freedom fighter, disappeared into the Ecuadorian embassy? Well, he was living, I think, in a single room, but his room was about 8 times bigger than the inside of this camper van. So the thing you've got to understand, right, is a camper van is tiny, right? If you want to practice, right, if you want to practice, I'm going to assume that in your house you have a bathroom, possibly a separate toilet. Better if you use the separate toilet. Right? Now you go and spend a number of hours in your separate toilet, prepare yourself a meal or something, maybe take your iPad in if you've got one and watch a movie. Well, that will give you some idea of the amount of space that you have in the average camper van. Now, I'll be honest, it's okay for one person, actually. It's not bad for one person. If you, on your own, go and live in your separate toilet for a couple of months, you'll see what it's like. But if you get your wife or your spouse or your partner, even your children, grandparents, aunts and uncles, whatever it is, and you'll pile into that toilet, you see what it's like. Right? There is no room to swing a cat. All right. Now, that, you may not know this, by the way, a little sidebar here, but that expression comes when the Egyptians, you'll remember that the Egyptians worshipped cats back in the time of the pharaoh, when they were building the pyramids, you know, to Akhenaten. Do you remember Akhenaten? You must have seen the exhibition. They wanted to decide whether there was enough room for Akhenaten to be in there with the 40 members of his army who were entombed with him. So they went in there with one of their cats that they worshipped, and it was a special cat, special stone cat, wasn't a real cat, and they swung it around, and if the cat, shattered, then they knew there wasn't enough room. So that's where the old expression, there isn't room to swing a cat. Now, I'm not even going to try and swing a cat in here, because I know it's not going to work, all right? So trust me, there ain't a lot of room. Now the next thing I want to focus on, and here I'm going to be moving the camera again, and I'm going to be moving the focal length. Hang on, I'm going to hold it up at some distance. Now I don't know if you can see. Can you see what I'm not sure you can actually. Can you see what I'm sitting on? Right? Can you see? I'm sitting on what is known in the trade as a seat. All right, and this is a two-person seat. Now, all right, I'm putting the camera down, so that sorts that out. But when I say it's a two-person seat, that means it's a two-person bed, but it's not a two-person bed. You can sit beside somebody, it's like you're on a train compartment, you know what I mean? You've got some fat bloke sitting beside you, taking up 1.5 seats. Can you imagine that? Sitting on a seat for a sort of short journey up to London or something like that, 20 minutes or on the tube, that's slightly different. If you're going to sleep, right, i.e. lie down and spend 8 hours, hopefully in the land of Nod, dreaming about Bali or Mykonos or whatever it is, you want to have, you want to have a bit of room, okay? You want to be able to toss and turn. You want to be able to have somebody there that you can toss and turn with, but you can't, right? Now, do you remember that model, Twiggy? Now, you have to be a certain age. Now, she was called Twiggy because she was like a twig, okay? She was really thin. Now, if you imagine Twiggy and another Twiggy, that could be male, female, doesn't matter, I'm not prejudiced. But if you can imagine another Twiggy, okay, two Twiggies, right, they could sleep, like, they'd be a bit like this, okay, they'd be a bit like two little branches on a tree, okay, the two twigs, if you get the metaphor. But if you're not a twig, and let's face it, most of us are not a twig. If you're like a tree, or like me, one of those giant redwoods in California that they have whole towns inside, or a sequoia. I mean, that's what I'm like now. So if you can imagine me on this bed on my own, okay, well, I'd probably, maybe, perhaps, unlikely, get a decent night's sleep. But can you imagine two of me, two giant redwoods, two sequoias? If you imagine like a town of Crawley and a town of Red Hill, okay, inside this giant redwood tree, and they're trying to sleep like this. I mean, it doesn't work, does it? I mean, am I missing something? I mean, it's too bloody small. I'll give you another reason. Okay, right, you're in your camper van, all right, for any length of time. What happens? Oh, you need a piss, don't you? Or you've had you've sat in here in this tiny little space eating pot noodles or something. You need a shit. Well, where are you going to go for a shit? He's like, well, you're going to say, what are you chilling? You're on a campsite. You go to the, you go to the shack. You go to the, the eco-friendly compost thing. But what if you're not? Okay, what if you're wild camping? What if you're in that lay-by on the A72 or whatever it is, and you're wild camping? You don't want the locals to know that you're there, and then oh God, I need a dump. I mean, now you've got two choices, okay, and a chemical toilet or a bivy loo, and a bivy loo is essentially a bucket with a bag, okay. Now they each have their advantages, but each have their significant disadvantages. Think about a portable toilet, kind of chemical toilet. There's no room to put it in the camper van, okay, like, because it's quite a big thing like that. It's like, imagine a kind of cube coffin if you have a body the shape of a cube. So that doesn't work. There's no space for it. Okay, you're 5 minutes in the day, you're having to shit in it. The rest of the time, where do you put it? You've got nowhere to put it. The bivy loo, now that folds up because it's like a bucket. It all collapses down. The bag collapses down, so on and so forth. You're carrying around a bag of shit. You're like one of those dog walkers. I saw a dog walker yesterday with 9 dogs. I thought, I mean, you're gonna need suitcases of shit to transport that stuff around. So that's, the toilet situation is iffy. Now, I'm not talking about motorhomes, okay? Those great articulated, massive, great fucking things where you've got a proper toilet and a shower and a bath and, dancing girls and God, no dancing girls. But you know what I mean? Right? I'm not talking about motorhomes. I'm talking about Campervan. I'm talking about, some kind of converted van or a car, essentially, which is what I've got. The other thing is, and you're going to be kind of honest about this, and I read quite a lot of stuff on Facebook and so on and so forth. Locals in kind of sites of scientific interest or nice places to go, they're not really that keen on campervans. Let's be honest. So if you take the North Coast 500 in Scotland, where there are at any time of the day or night, there are 30,000 campervans and motorhomes tried to, crawl around the North Coast 500 in a kind of massive traffic jam. So the locals are not keen. Let's be honest, they're not keen. Cornwall in a campervan, forget it, mate. They're just not keen. Devon, they're not keen. Anywhere on the South Coast, they're not keen. Right? There's nowhere to park. There's all these restrictions, that height restrictions on the parking lots that there are, the double yellow lines, there's signs everywhere saying no campervans, no overnight camping. Do you know that line from Jack Kerouac? If you know Jack Kerouac, the woods are full of wardens. He said that was his point. He was out in the wilderness, and there were people saying you can't get here, you can't go there. Well, it's like that. You have a campervan, and even if you could get it off your driveway, right, which I can't because I can't afford the petrol, but if I could get it off my driveway, I'd drive out into the road and somebody would say, oh no, you can't park there. Oh no, you're taking up too much space. Oh no, you can't have a camper. No, that's not right. No, we don't want you living outside the law like that. Oh, that's not good. So the other reason, of course, and I suppose the other reason is kind of a summation of all of these things, right, is you won't use it. Seriously, you won't use it. You think to yourself, I know, I'll get a campervan. Right? Every weekend I'll go out to a new hotspot that nobody's been to before, and I'll open the back door and I'll get myself a glass of wine and I'll put my legs up like that. That's a foot, by the way. So I'll put my legs up like that, and then I'll take a photograph of me looking at the sea or the Serengeti or the Norwegian fjords or something like that, and then I'll post them. I'll post those pictures on Instagram, and my kind of 97 followers will give me a thumbs up and a heart symbol and say, oh, gorgeous picture, why don't you send it to one of these websites in Czechoslovakia or whatever. So I mean, you think, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go away every weekend. I'm going to have micro adventures. I'm going to see parts of England, if you live in England, or other countries, if you live in country. I'm going to see parts of this country I've never seen to before. And I'm going to sleep in my camper van. I'm going to wake up with the sunrise, and I'm going to make fresh coffee and some kind of vegan egg and bacon dish or something. And it's going to be an alternative lifestyle. I'm going to be like the hippies. I'm going to be like Burning Man. I'm going to go to Glastonbury. You won't. You're not. For a start, you can't afford to, right? That's reason number one. Reason number two is you can't afford to. And reason number three is you can't be asked. You know what? You got to load it up with bags of muesli and toilet paper, even though you haven't got a toilet. And I don't know, USB speakers and a battery power so you can get your phone to work, and you've got to have, you know, the endless packets of pot noodle or whatever it is. I mean, it's just, you just can't be fucking arsed, right? So forget it, right? You won't use it, you won't go anywhere, you won't enjoy it, you'll fucking hate it. It'll cost you a fortune to insure, you can't put petrol in it, your family won't come with you because there's no room. Take my advice, okay? Take Julian's advice. Take the advice of a man who knows, right? Buy a train ticket, okay? That's number one. Buy a train ticket. Book yourself an Airbnb or Premier Inn, all right? Somewhere in a nice part of the country, okay? Go there. Go for a walk. Yeah, go for a walk. Enjoy it. You know, don't drive. Don't pollute the airwaves and clog up the roads. Get a train. You know, save the planet. Go and see your country. Go abroad, see the world, and walk. Okay, walk local. Keep local. Keep natural. Keep the world. Let's keep the world for our children. Okay, well, not my children, obviously, but let's keep the world for the young ones. Well, not the young ones. That was a not very funny TV show, but you know what I mean. Let's keep our world. Not you know, old people, middle-aged people driving around the country in campervans, fucking it up for everybody else. Don't do that. All right, get a train, get an Airbnb, or Travelodge, or Premier Inn. Other hotel chains are available, and go for a walk and enjoy yourself. And don't, whatever you do, despite the exhortations of your friends or your Facebook group or your things you general, what was it, that Susan Calman in a motorhome or campervan who was an unbelievably unfunny person, Paul Merton. Yeah, I mean, if there was an advert for something you do not want to do, it was Paul Merton's series about a motorhome or whatever. Don't do it. Don't do it. Save yourself. Save the planet. Save yourself. Save the planet. Thanks for watching. See you next time.